The Onval.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, yeah. The Indians burned it.
Wow.
That's another story altogether. The things weren't all that peaceful up here, and there were several incidents with the Mohawks, especially in the area.
The reason why we've come back to this map is because we wanted to point out where some of the Dutch forts were located, and a little bit about how New Netherland functioned. And I think an easy way to visualize this more abstractly is to think about a wheel with spokes and a hub. Go back. We have Fort Orange, Fort of Good Hope, or Fort Good Hope up here on the Connecticut River. Fort Nassau, this is not the Fort Nassau that Christensen built, but Fort Nassau, which is over in the area where Philadelphia is. And these rivers that sort of feed like the spokes of a wheel. And here in the center of the wheel is the hub. And the hub of New Netherland was Manhattan. And Charlie, you want to say something about
the island at the center of the world?
Yeah.
Originally, the directors wanted the center of the colony here on Burlington Island. There was a fort built there called Fort Wilhelmus. They felt that this area would not be iced in, and that there would be traffic flow 12 months a year, because they thought that it had the same climate as Florida. In 1633, the Indians walked across on the ice where Philadelphia is now, and they took over Fort Nassau, which is on the east side of the river. De Vries comes up early spring to check out activities at Fort Nassau, and he finds it full of Indians. The Dutch were only able to occupy seasonally these forts. In the winter time, they just left them open. Fort Nassau, just to avoid confusion, we have a Fort Nassau up here in the Port of Albany, one here where Gloucester is now, just below Camden, New Jersey, on the east side. And then when the Dutch come back in 1673, they rename everything. And they rename Fort Orange Fort Nassau. I saw an article once written by someone who had these three forts all confused. They're thinking that they were the same fort, a geographical nightmare. In 1638, the Swedes come into the valley under Peter Minuit, who was director of the company's director on Manhattan. He was fired, basically, and hired by the Swedes. He knew right where the Dutch were the weakest, was in this area along the Minquas Kill. And they came in and they bought land from the Indians within Dutch jurisdiction, the Dutch claimed, and started trading with the Minquas, who are Susquehannocks, Iroquois Indians, but not part of the Confederacy. And he built a fort called Fort Christina. Remember, Christina is Queen of Sweden at that time. And so you have Swedish forts and Dutch forts along here. In order for the Dutch to intercept the fur trade on the west side, Stuyvesant comes down, like the year after he comes over as Director General, dismantles Fort Nassau, takes the guns down to an area called Sandy Hook, where Newcastle, Delaware is now, and builds a fort, and names it Fort Casimir. So that's another fort. The directors in Amsterdam are baffled by that. First of all, why did you dismantle that fort? And secondly, why did you name it Casimir? because they approved all of the names. You couldn't just name things as you wanted over here. It had to be run by the directors for their approval.